Hello, welcome once again to Split Decision Boxing, my boxing channel that I do for YouTube. This is my second posting of the day, which is pretty unusual for me because I then go months and months and months without putting any on. But I promise you I'm going to try and do a little bit more because I do get good feedback from people who watch these videos. They think I'm pretty informed and informative and I have a balanced view. I try and give my opinion based on I sort of do a bit of research on facts and stats and stuff like that, and I also give my opinion on certain things which not everyone loves. Most people do, though. How could you not love a beautiful face like this? Anyway, I'm going to talk about in this video two seasoned fighters that are almost, well, one of them definitely coming to the end of his career. He's marking it with a milestone 50th fight, in which he says this will definitely be his last fight. And he's a British iconic fighter, never been a world champion, but never ducked anyone. I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley. He's brought a lot of entertainment and fun to the British boxing world, put it that way. He is certainly a character, and that's our own Derek War Chisora. And on April the 4th, at the O2 Arena in London, he's going to be fighting former heavyweight world champion and arguably the biggest puncher in the world, or he certainly, they say he was, from Alabama, the charismatic bomb squad Deontay Wilder. And they are scheduled to meet, as I say, on the 4th of April at the O2 Arena, which is going to be pretty spectacular, I believe, because you've got two fighters there, one with nothing to prove. Derek Chisora has nothing to prove. He just wants a fight. He loves to fight. He's quoted as saying he loves the violence. He loves to fight. And fair play if that's what you love to do. Personally, I couldn't think of anything worse than getting in the ring and having my face punched multiple times by someone who's capable of knocking my head clean off my shoulders. So if that's what you enjoy, and he does enjoy it, it's quite obvious, and he's been in some proper wars. War is literally the right name for him. Some amazing fights with the likes of Dillian Whyte, for example. Absolute wars. I can't, if you put two men standing there face to face having a slugfest, both big men, both capable of punching their way, through a barn door. That's what you've got with Derek Chisora and Dillian Whyte, by the way. So, and of course with Deontay, as we know, massive hitter, bomb squad, gives it all that and all that stuff, But when he hits them, in general, they go. Unless, of course, you're Tyson Fury, in which case you go, but then you come back fitter and stronger than you was when you went down. Amazing. I talk about it in my other video that I've posted today, where Fury has just announced a fight with a Russian guy, Makhmedov, I think his name is. And I touch on in that video about Tyson Fury's rate of recovery, his ability to recover from fights. Unlike, I would say, Deontay Wilder, who once he gets tagged, once he gets hit, seems to melt pretty quickly. How do these two stack up? I want to talk about stats before I talk about styles and abilities, okay? So I went on BoxRec. I had a quick comparison of the pair of them. You know, I know obviously Deontay Wilder's a household name. Everyone knows him throughout the world. Derek Chisora is certainly a household name in the British world of boxing. I'm not sure how much he would be known amongst the American fight fraternity. So let me tell you a bit about each of them. So we'll start with Derek Chisora. He used to be called Derek Delboy Chisora, by the way, and he changed over the last few years to Derek War Chisora, and I think that is suitable for him. Interestingly, both Chisora and Wilder have had 49 fights each. So they're very evenly balanced on the number of fights they've had. But Chisora has fought a lot more rounds because he doesn't tend to knock people out. He doesn't get early stoppages very much, you know. Whereas Wilder, as we know, was a knockout king back in his day. As I say, if he hit you, you win. So Chisora, 36 wins, 13 losses. Out of those 36 wins, 23 of them were knockouts. And out of his 13 losses, 4 were knockouts, with a knockout percentage of 63.89%. Whereas Wilder, 44 wins, 4 losses, with 43 of those wins, of those 44 wins, coming by way of knockout, and 3 of the 4 losses coming by way of knockout. But here's the main difference. So Chisora's knockout percentage was 63.89, let's call it 64%. Wilder, 90.73, let's call that 98%. That is a huge, huge difference. In terms of the size of these fellas, height, Chisora, 6'1.5". He's about my height. Wilder, 6'6", big height advantage again. You know, he's got 4.5 inch on him. The reach, Chisora, 74 inch. Wilder, 83. So he's got a 9-inch reach advantage. So technically, he can jab away and find his range against Delboy Chisora without Chisora theoretically being able to lay a glove on him. But there is a difference here. Chisora is a thick-set, heavy man. He's a heavy hitter. He's got very heavy hands. Wilder is wiry. He's muscular, but he's wiry. He's slim, gangly almost. So I think these, and let's say styles make fights, I think these two are going to make a very interesting fight because Chisora likes to get up close if he can, lean on, hit body, ribs, side hooks, side to the head. Then he'll come back, he'll push away, and he'll throw. He's known for throwing huge overhand, clumping punches that if they land, they're going to knock you out. They're going to, if Wilder catches one of them on the temple or on the jaw, it could be very easily, could be early night for him. But as we know, Wilder is also capable, more than capable, and known for, if he unloads and lands cleanly, it's good night nurse for most people. Looking at their last 4 fights each. So Chisora is coming off the back of 4 fights. A win against Otto Wallin, unanimous decision. a win against Joe Joyce, unanimous decision. A win against Gerald Washington, I think that was unanimous decision. And a loss to the Gypsy King Tyson Fury, which was a TKO, technical knockout. That's, do you know what, to be honest, considering his age, the number of fights he's had, those last 4 fights, let's forget the Tyson Fury one, shall we? Tyson Fury was world champion at the time. Let's take the 3, Wilding, Joyce and Washington. Wilding and Joyce, mate, they're no mugs. That's no, you wouldn't say, well, they're just average opponents. They're credible, classy opponents. So to get unanimous decision wins against them, and that's what I mean about Chisora. He wears you down. He tires you out. He'll lay on you. He'll make you weak just by laying all over you, and you've got to try and push him off throughout the fight, and then, he'll swing those overheads at you. Whereas Wilder, slightly different story. His last 4, Tyrell Herndon was a win, TKO. That was almost like his comeback fight, to be honest, after a pretty disastrous period where before that he lost to Zili Zhang, technical KO. He lost to Joseph Parker, unanimous decision. And he won against Robert Helenius, with a KO, who, interestingly, Helenius beat Chisora earlier in his career. So very different history on their last 4 fights. Makes it very interesting as to what's about to happen on the 4th of April. Other memorable memorable fights for Chisora. He lost to, these are his losses. I don't know if I'm going to go through all of them. He lost to Joseph Parker twice, a unanimous decision and a split decision. He lost to Usyk, unanimous decision. He fought Dillian. These 3 epic battles, by the way, which I mentioned. He fought Dillian White twice, 2018 and 2016. He lost KO and he lost split decision, but they were just, edge of your seat stuff watching them. Pulev, he lost split decision in 2016, and early in his career he lost to David Haye. Vitaly Klitschko, Robert Helenius, and Ajit Caballel with a majority decision loss in 2017. Now, he's been in with, very high quality opposition. He's no mug, is Derek Chisora. He's very controversial. I'm looking forward to the build-up to this. I mean, at the moment, they're all very friendly. They're appearing at press conferences together, and they're shaking hands, and they're hugging each other. And they're, there doesn't seem to be any bad words, bad blood between them, which is unusual for Chisora, because Chisora is renowned in his past for some pretty controversial stuff. He used to come on stage with a mask, a Union Jack facial mask over him. He slapped one opponent around the face. I think it was Klitschko, actually. He slapped around the face during one press conference when they were doing their head-to-head. And the most famous one was when he was doing a press conference, and David Haye was in the audience and made some, there was an exchange between them, and Chisora came down from the stage and walked towards David Haye. David Haye smashed him in the face with a bottle, and they ended up brawling in the audience, if you like, and was eventually, obviously, they were separated, which was a good build up for their fight, which of course David Haye won. Unfortunately, I wanted Chisora to win that one. You just can't help but like Derek Chisora. He's very philosophical about stuff. He's very, as I say, he seems to have mellowed with age, but he's always been very. You never knew what you were going to get if you just said the wrong thing during an interview with him, or when he was being questioned or interviewed, or a press conference. A journalist might ask the wrong thing, or he's thrown tables. He's done it all. He's very colourful character. Wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley because he's got a history outside the ring. I think he's been shot and stabbed and all kinds of stuff in his early days. From Finchley in North London, and of course Deontay Wilder comes from Alabama, and we all know about Alabama and how the racial tensions. I don't know whether they're still there these days, but they always used it. Couldn't have been easy for him growing up in Alabama. I don't know too much about Wilder's private life, if I'm honest. If I compared the two in terms of boxing ability, let's talk about the fight, okay? I never ever rated Wilder as a boxer when I watched all of his fights, even the the wins, the knockouts, the big knockouts. Yeah, they're spectacular knockouts, but a lot of those fights where he knocked people out, he was losing. His ring craft isn't fantastic. He may have improved. Who knows? We'll find out on April the 4th. But for me, he didn't have fantastic ring craft. He didn't move particularly well. He got caught quite easy and quite often looked almost out on his feet. But he managed to find the big punches at the right times in quite a few of his fights. And that's got to go in his favour because we know he's got that in his armoury. Whereas with Derek War Chisora, he's got his own style, but he knows the craft. 50 fights, 49 fights. This is his 50th. He knows the game inside out. He knows all the tricks. He knows how to slip and move and cover himself and recover. So I'm looking forward to this one. As I say, it's going to be the O2 Arena in London. It's absolutely guaranteed to be a sellout. It's on DAZN. It'll be pay-per-view. Unfortunately, I have a real issue with pay-per-view. I know it makes money for the fighters, and that's what it's all about. They're in it for the money. But for the purists, for the fight fans like me, I'm just an ordinary fella, I do an ordinary job. I don't get paid a fortune, but I love boxing and I love it to my heart. And it's a very expensive game to follow, whichever way you want to follow it these days. I'd like to get to more fights. I haven't been to a fight. I think the last fight I went to was at the O2, and that was one of AJ's early fights. And in fact, Dillian Whyte was on the card that day as well. That was one of AJ's early fights before he was world champion. And it's just so expensive to get tickets to go to these fights. They're a great experience. If you've never been to one, absolutely recommend going. You might see some better fights outside the ring than you do inside the ring throughout the course of the day. I always like to, when I've been a few times, I always like to get there early and watch the whole undercard. The stadium's pretty empty early on. You've got these lower ranked fighters that bring the small entourage of their camp, and their most loyal fans might be 50, 60, if that. And they're set up in two different parts of the arena, and they have the fight, then they clear out. And eventually over the night, the quality of the fights gets better. The stadium starts to fill. You feel the atmosphere buzzing. You feel the anticipation of what's about to come. the drink starts flowing, the songs start getting sung, the banter between various fight fans from various camps, particularly when you've got in a domestic fight, particularly if you've got, let's say, one from London like Chisora, and you might have one from Manchester or something like that. And so, of course, you get there's the internal rivalry between two different cities and sets of supporters. And of course, with Wilder coming from America, you've got the Brits versus the Americans, so that's bound to be a good atmosphere as well. But it's so expensive, and even for us poor fight fans now, even I just can't warrant and can't afford it. Well, I can afford it, but I can't justify it. Is probably the correct statement there. So I decide I want to watch it on TV, and you got your TV, you pay for Sky, you pay for Netflix, you might pay for all your other sub channels that want a subscription. You pay any extra for having the sports package on Sky. And then they don't do the fights anymore. It goes to DAZN, and DAZN want to charge you 25 quid to watch a fight, which might, if you're only interested in the one bout, right? Now, for me, if I pay me 25 quid, and I probably will, for me, if I want to pay me 25 quid, I'm gonna watch the whole evening probably, and watch, as I say, as soon as they start broadcasting the early fights. I'll show an interest and watch them. I want to get my money's worth. But if you're not, if you're an armchair boxing fan, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to be, and you're only interested in the main event. So if you're only interested in Chisora Wilder, not interested in the undercard, and you're just going to tune in at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever time they're on, for 25 quid, it might be over in a round. It might be over in 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes. It might be over in 2 minutes. That's cost you £12.50 a minute. Is it worth it? Are we being ripped off as fight fans? I think we are, to be honest. I'd love to see someone like, I know Channel 5 now has started broadcasting some fights. I think the BBC have actually done a couple. Do you know what? I'd like to get it on terrestrial TV. I pay my licence fee as well on BBC. Do you know what I mean? It's all about taking the money off you. I'd like to see some of these fights on mainstream terrestrial TV, or included within your Sky Sports package if you're doing Sky Sports, without having to pay per view on top of it. Let's make it accessible. It's a great sport, boxing. Let's make it accessible. I know these guys have got bills to pay, and I know they're putting their lives on the line every time they step through the ring. But surely with ticket sales alone, and the subsidy from Sky or from ITV or BBC or whoever pays to view it, should be enough, shouldn't it? Without having to get 20 million people paying 25 quid each, or whatever it is, pay-per-view, to watch the fight as well. And that's why they get these huge purses. And I don't deny them the huge purses. It's not me up there taking the punches, as I said. They're worth every penny. But spare a thought for the punters. Spare a thought for the people that put them where they are. Their fans. I went on for a bit of a rant there. Sorry about that, but it's one of my little bugbears. I love this sport so much, and it's becoming less and less accessible, which is why I sort of stopped doing videos, because I began to lose interest because of the money that you're paying And I began to think I'm just being ripped off here. We know, we know about the sport, and we know that we know that there are shady characters that operate within the sport. Always has been. It's never been about the fighters as far as the people in the background are concerned. It's about the dollar. It's about the moolah. It's about the money. It's about the pounds. It's about the pound notes. The fighters, although they get paid very handsomely at the top level, and only at the top level, they get paid very handsomely. It ain't about them. They're just a commodity. And I don't think, as much as they might have you believe otherwise, I don't think that those involved in boxing at the top, the promoters, the managers, the money makers, I'm not sure how much they really care about the boxer as the person. I'm not sure how much Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren and people like that really value. They value their fighters because they're money makers. They value them as people? Really? I don't know. I'd like to think I was wrong. I'd like to think I'm being over cynical, but I don't think I am. It'd be interesting what you think. Let me know. Put some comments down below. Tell me your views. I'm going to make an early prediction, and then I might do another video later on, nearer the fight, as the fight builds up, and I start to see a little bit more, try and read a little bit of body language and mindsets of each of the fighters. I might do an updated prediction. But if you ask me to predict now on Chisora versus Wilder, here's my prediction. It's in Chisora's backyard. It's London, where he's lived all of his life. It's going to be packed with Chisora fans who will want to see this household name in his last ever professional bout. People want to be there for that. He's going to be loved. He's going to be welcomed. I believe Wilder's going to get a lot of crap from the crowd. He's very abrasive with the whole bomb squad thing and all that. I think all that's going to play into Chisora's hands. I believe, even though it's his last fight, I don't think Wilder would be able to knock Chisora out. I think Wilder isn't clever enough. And I believe Chisora will be clever enough to use all of those spoiling tactics, to lean, to smother, to spoil, to hit round the back of the head, to land those pulsating body shots, and eventually he's going to wear Wilder out, and he's going to hit him with one of those swinging big overheads. It's going to catch Wilder. Wilder's legs are going to go, and I believe Chisora will go in for the kill, not literally, but in for the, to put him to sleep. And I believe it'll either be a straight KO, or the referee will stop it, and Chisora will go out on a massive, massive high, and we'll say adios, amigos, and thank you for everything. I believe Chisora will win by KO or TKO. That's it from me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed my views. If you'd like to see more, or if you think it's a load of old crap that I'm talking, tell me. Put some comments down below, down there. Do me a favour, give it the thumbs up. Oh, I've got a thread there, look. Give it the thumbs up. Like, follow, subscribe. Really help me out here by subscribing and sharing. Share the video. Anyone you know who likes boxing and who likes to hear people's opinions, copy, paste, whatever. I don't know how you share these things. Do me a favour. Share it out. Stick it on TikTok if you like. I don't mind. I'm just a normal fellow who talks about boxing. Probably talk a load of old crap. That's it from me. Keep fighting, everyone.